This is the hint video for Year 10 homework week 6. If we get straight into question 1. I did say on the actual homework video itself that you need to put these things into two brackets. You need to think about a pair of numbers actually that multiply to make 12 and add to make 8. They go here and here. And obviously you're going to have x times x makes x squared, and plus signs there and there. So on that first one, two numbers that multiply to make 12, to add to make 8. Those are going to replace the question marks in that question. On the next one, a big hint here, we've got a plus sign, I'll show you in green there, we've got a plus sign there. There's a minus sign here. Now the only way that that can happen is if you've got two minuses in your brackets. And again we're looking for numbers that multiply to make 8 and add to make 9. This one here, question part C. This time in green we've got a minus here. Now for that to be a minus we must have a plus, a mixture of a plus and a minus in our brackets. So you're thinking of a positive number and a negative number that multiply to make minus 20 and add to make minus 1. And then the last bit, I need to give a bit more away on this. You need to think about what this times this is. Now that makes 6. So actually what I'm doing in this question is I'm going to try and think of a pair of numbers that multiply to make 6 and add to make 5. Whatever those numbers are, you then split up this middle term and factorise into brackets following that splitting of the middle term. That's a clue, but it's possibly not enough. That's why I wrote teach to the top next to that question. See if you can find a video online that shows you how to factorise an expression like that. Maybe you can find a website that gives tutorials on factorisation. If I was to say you will end up with 2x there and x there, just tidy that up a little bit, you'll have 2x on that one and x on that one, because 2x times x makes 2x squared. That's another big clue as to what the final answer needs to have. On to question 2. What's the number of sides on a regular polygon with an external angle of 10? Well, you need to think to yourself, how many 10s is it going to take to get right round back to the start? Because each 10 will be an external angle. And remember, there's 360 degrees in a circle. Look back in your book at the equations and the formulae that I gave you on that topic, and you should be able to find one that says sides equals. And that should get you what you need on that question. On to 3. Question 3, angles in parallel lines. If I was to show you an angle, let's say this angle here, A, and slide it down this line here, I found another angle there that's exactly the same size. And if I show you that again, I can do that anywhere. So if I was to say this angle here, if I was to slide down this line and find another one the same size there, so I've got one there. So actually sliding an angle down to find a matching angle, that's called corresponding angles are equal. And you can do that on that question, and then use things such as the angles on a line add up to 180, opposite angles are equal. There's also other rules such as co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. There's all sorts of rules you can use to work out the missing angles on that question. Remember to give a worded reason for each of the angles that you find. Last clue, these angles look like they might be the same size. You need to think about why that is the case. On to question 4. Now on question 4 it says, why do hexagons tessellate? You need to work out the external angle of a hexagon. Remember, that's a 6-sided polygon. Once you've got that, I'm assuming we're talking about regular hexagons here, you need to think about what's special about that external angle that would mean that all those hexagons would fit next to each other without any gaps. On to question 5. Question 5, simplifying a ratio. I'll do the first one, the rest's up to you. To fully simplify a ratio, you think of the biggest number you can that divides into both parts. So on this first one, if I said that divides by 10, there are 2 of them. That divides by 10, there are 3 of them. My answer is 2 to 3. All the questions work the same. It's just up to you to find the biggest factor that divides into both sides. On to question 6. Now on question 6, the first question says to the nearest thousand. So if you think about it, if we start at 30,000, we've got 30,000, 31,000, 32,000, 33,000, and so on. It's your job to think which of those thousands, if we kept counting, would be the nearest to 37,462. So actually I'm interested in this column here, but you always look next door. So I'm actually looking here to decide what rounding, whether I'd round up or down. Question B. One significant figure. On all questions with one significant figure rounding, you look in the first non-zero column, in this case the 10,000s column. That would mean rounding to the nearest 10,000 on that question. One decimal place rounding on part C, that means I'm looking here. And again I'm going to look next door to decide whether I should stay on 42.8 or possibly round up to 42.9. That number next door helps me decide that. Question D, to the nearest 5. 5s go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and you need to decide which of those numbers that I just said is the closest to 19.638. And then the most difficult question on here, 3 significant figures. You look in the third column here, and you need to think to yourself, what is that column called? It's called the units. So I'm going to be rounding to the nearest unit. On to the next question. At the end of the homework now, question 7, simplifying surds. Because we've done this topic several times, I'm just going to give one small clue on question A, and the rest is up to you. I need to think of a square factor of 160, because I'm going to split up into 2 surds like this. Now a square factor, the biggest square factor I can think of is 16. So actually 16 times 10 makes 106, root 160. And the reason I chose 16 is because root 16 turns into just a normal number. So think about what the final answer would be. Think about what root 16 can actually be written as. You'll get something root 10. You'll get something in the form A root B, where in this case B is 10. Something root 10. All of the questions on this page look like that. If you're doing part C, you need to convert this into something, convert this into something, and make sure those surds match so you can gather them together. And the same is true of part D. That's it. Good luck with the homework, and as usual you need to find me at break time if you're struggling so you can hand in a homework that you're proud of. Good luck.